Hi.
Welcome to Hardin Life Live. We are the Hardins, and we are a group and a family, really, of counselors and coaches. And we love to take 10 minutes a week to hopefully give you some tips to live your best life. And we do that from both a biblical and a therapeutic perspective. And we've been having fun this month. We've been looking at the topic of relationships, which all of us know is very relevant. And I'm sort of excited because, honey, you wrote the blog this week and you're emphasizing something we all need. We sort of know, but we don't know how important it is, what we know. And your title is regarding connection, correct?
Well, it's the idea of healing relationships. And certainly relationships are important to life. Life is relationship. But what does it mean to be in a relationship that brings healing? There's a true difference between having friends and having acquaintances and being known by a lot of people and a lot of people knowing you. But what does it mean to really be in a relationship that is healing? And I was particularly struck by a sermon at our church here recently when the pastor went through Luke chapter 24. And Luke chapter 24 is the story of the women who met Jesus in the village of Emmaus after he had resurrected, and they didn't recognize him. And they were in deep grief. They were troubled. And as they engaged with Jesus and he taught them and he ate with them, it says in verse 35, that they begin to share with others what they had experienced with Jesus. And I was just taken by how their experience was what was healing. It wasn't so much just what they were taught, that they came up with new information, and that Jesus' teaching, I'm sure, was great. He was teaching them all through the scripture, but they experienced a connection that brought healing to their life. And I was just really inspired to write the blog about what they experienced that was so healing.
Well, that really rings true to me, especially right now in culture, because we have a big self-help movement going on. And people are like, throw out your therapist, throw out this, just do the work and get yourself well. Now, there's parts of that that have some good truths of taking the initiative, taking personal responsibility. And I do agree with self-help from that standpoint. But as to quote someone that I know, you said, what is broken in relationship must be healed in relationship. So actually, we can't heal without that connection. So if you think you're going to read a book or, watch or listen to a podcast, watch a YouTube and get yourself well, no, that's not going to happen. So connection is a must.
Well, meaning you're saying we can't heal only in isolation, because if our woundedness comes from people, a lot of our brokenness comes from people, then we need people to be a part of that repair. And that can be what is so healing. And I think I was just at brunch and talking to some of my friends about this topic of how I am so grateful for people in my life who see me at my worst and still choose to accept me, to love me, to listen, and that provides safety. And I think a big part of healing relationships is having a safe, secure attachment to that other person, because when we don't feel safety, then we're at risk for experiencing more hurt, more brokenness, which is a lot of times when we experience that harm in relationships is because it wasn't safe. We were emotionally manipulated. We were or emotionally neglected or harmed. And so to have someone repair that is to provide safety. And that's a big part of healing.
Well, I would say, a good illustration of that, of course, is when a couple comes into our counseling room, and their marriage, their relationship is in need of repair. And the first thing that I love to do is have them sit across from each other and create a zone of safety. I ask them to look into each other's eyes, and get comfortable. And that oftentimes can be very unsettling. That a chaotic couple, a highly anxious couple, a highly conflictual couple have difficulty making eye contact. And so I work through an exercise long enough to where they get settled at looking into each other's eyes. And then we do just a few other things of even holding hands if they can. But the whole point is to create safety, a zone of safety. And then I would say the 3 steps then of forming a healing relationship is number 1, desire. What do you want? Number 2 is to see the other person, which requires a setting aside of yourself. It's a joyful giving rather than a resentful surrender. And then number 3 is truly connect. The way that works is in the desire. You've got to state clearly that your desire is for the relationship, not the desire to be right. Mm-hmm. Anger and resentment will tell you in your head, I've got to get this right. I've got to win. But true love will tell you, I want the connection beyond anything else. More than being right, I want to feel close to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, the importance of that too, obviously marriage is where you sort of can't get away from the person, but this happens at work, this happens in friend groups. It's if you have a judgment based on I'm only going to be in relationship when I'm right or one up, there's no guarantee I'll ever get connection. And so you're inviting us to come with humility, but I really hear what you're saying. You've got to value connecting above all else.
Yep.
And I think even, God's priority of why he even sent Christ was to bring us back into connection. And doing it right, doing it wrong, proving all that did not get men closer to God. It was like we had to enter relationship and connect.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think a big part of that too is actually knowing for yourself what it is to be connected to you and to God. It's like before we can connect with others, we have to be connected. And so sometimes the first step in engaging in a healing relationship is first engaging with yourself. And so many of us live disconnected from ourselves that there's no way that we can experience the healing that God intends. And something that helps me in connection is thinking about 1 Corinthians 13, how God describes love and what love is. And can I, first of all, receive God's love for me in that way? And then how do I begin to extend that to others in that connection? And so I loved your blog. There's some great exercises in there for y'all to check out and actually begin to have that first step of connecting with yourself and the Lord before you connect with others. So I really encourage you to check that out, hardinlife.com.
And I would just add the thing that's so hopeful, some of us have never had a good relationship. We've never seen real connection. But guess what? Research and secular scientists discovered that even at a cellular level, there is a wiring in each individual cell that is moving toward a safe and secure attachment to another. So God has designed it in our DNA to know how to connect, and that there's someone worth connecting to.
Mhm.
So even when you think, I don't even get this, guess what? Every cell in your body is fighting for you. So think on that this week, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks for tuning in.